Welcome again. This is your host, Emmanuel Lyson, coming to you again with Financial Breakthrough Academy. I trust you had a wonderful day. We want to continue on our session regarding understanding annuities. We began this in the last session talking about annuities. June is dedicated to be what we call the Annuity Awareness Month. So we are teaching on the subject of annuities this month. So let us get on to our content. Again, my name is Emmanuel, and I provide you content on financial concepts that enables you to increase your knowledge, information, and insight in various common financial ideas that helps you in your quest and your goal for financial breakthrough. So let's go on onto some of what we have here today. Again, we are going to be dealing with the subject of understanding annuities. Particularly, we'll focus on types of annuities. But so we are talking about annuities, understanding annuities, and today again we will look at types of annuities. Let's do a quick recap from our last session. First of all, here is a scripture that should encourage somebody. In Proverbs chapter 13, verse 11, scripture says, wealth gained by dishonesty will be diminished, but he who gathers by labor will increase. Wealth gained by dishonesty will be diminished, but he who gathers by labor will increase. So as you put your hand to work and put your money to work and invest and understand the concept of finance on a consistent basis, you should expect increase. You should be able to look forward to increase in your own wealth building. If you don't work dishonestly in any way and just put your hand to work, your ideas, your concept, let your money work for you, you will increase in your labor and your financial breakthrough. Okay, so that is our scripture for the day regarding our subject. So now let's get to a few of our review of last session. We want to do a quick review of the previous session. For those who missed it, you can go and watch the full version of it. But I'm going to do a quick recap of what we talked about during our last session. Simply, we introduce the subject of annuities, just discuss what is an annuity. We realize the definition given to us generally saying that an annuity is, as we say originally, an annuity simply means an annual payment. If you just say the word annuity, in simple terms, it simply means annual payment. Now, we looked at a definition from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission itself, and here is what they define an annuity to be. An annuity, I read it off quickly here, that an annuity is a contract between you and an insurance company that is designed to meet retirement and other long-range goals, under which you make a lump sum or series of payments. In return, the insurer agrees to make periodic payments to you beginning immediately or at some future date. So if you go to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission website, the link is right on the screen. You should be able to see that and just maybe pound over it a little bit more and see what that means to you particularly. So that was just basically the definition of annuity as we talked about last time. Again, I'm doing a quick recap from our last session so we can move on to today's content. Again, we talked about some characteristics of an annuity, and quickly, we won't run over very quickly. We said if you take an annuity, there are a few characteristics. In brief, it's an insurance product. It accumulates tax deferred. That simply means that you don't pay taxes today, but in the future, you will be paying the taxes. It's a retirement savings vehicle, okay? And that, you can have it either a single payment or in the series of payment. And we talked about the fact that we can convert it into a lifetime income stream. So these were some of the few characteristics that we discussed about what an annuity is. Okay, So with that, let's jump on to what we want to talk about today. That it's basically types of annuities. What are the types of annuities? Again, thank you for joining us. Those of you who are joining us today, we appreciate your participation, and you're welcome to ask questions or give us your comment. If you like the content we are providing, please share it and like it so we can be able to continue to help other people. So today we're going to talk about types of annuities. Again, by definition, we said that an annuity is simply a contract between an individual and an insurance company. So let's discuss what the types of annuity we have, or what do you have when you say annuities. Here are the three main types of annuities. Now you can slice and dice it in different ways, but the three main types of annuities are simply: one, fixed annuity. We have what we call fixed annuity. We have what we call variable annuity, and we have what we call index annuity. These are the three major types of annuity. Okay, so I recap. Basically, if you say an annuity, which is simply a contract between you and an insurance company, there are three types. As I just mentioned, there are three main types of annuity. There is what we call the fixed annuity, there's what we call the variable annuity, and then there's what we call index annuity. Now, there may be several other variations of these three major categories, but this is what basically constitute what an annuity is. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here to explain how all these three look like, some of the maybe variations and comparisons, so you may understand. From this session, you'll be very well educated about the concept of annuity in general, that you should be able to have a reasonable conversation. Or if you go out trying to implement this concept again, either with a financial advisor, a professional of any kind, you will not be lost in what the ideas are. So there are again three main types of annuities. We have what we call the fixed annuity, or we have what we call the variable annuity, and then we have what we call the index annuity. So these are the three main types of annuity. So let's take it one by one and look at what they mean and what they constitute. Let's look first about fixed annuity. What is a fixed annuity? Here are some of the key elements of a fixed annuity. Okay, if we say fixed annuity, number one, by this name as it suggests, it simply means that the interest rate that is paid to you from this contract is fixed. Okay, the insurance company will determine what interest rate it will pay for the annuity that it offers to you as an individual. So that's the first thing to understand when you mention fixed annuity. The second element of a fixed annuity is also the fact that it works pretty much like a certificate of deposit, also known as CD. Most of us, you may have an account with a bank of any kind. So if you go to the bank and you've put money down, say $10,000, they have a CD there, where you put the money in for an interest rate for say 5 years or 3 years or some amount of time. That is pretty much how the fixed annuity works. It works like a certificate of deposit. Okay, so first it has a fixed interest rate, and also it works simply like a certificate of deposit that you may be used to. Okay, the third element is that it grows tax deferred. Okay, it grows tax deferred. Okay, so when we say an annuity grows tax deferred, what does it mean? It simply means that whatever interest that you, so to speak, you're earning on the annuity on one side, and if there are some taxes that is due for the interest credited to you, under normal circumstances, if you take say a CD, you will be asked to pay the interest every year that you earn on a CD from in a bank. But when you take an annuity, a fixed annuity, that interest is quote unquote gross tax deferred. It means that the government allows you to postpone that interest. You're not going to pay the interest now, you pay it in the future. It doesn't mean that you never pay the interest on the growth of the portfolio. You will, but it's going to be in the future. So that is the key element here when we say it grows tax deferred, which means that you will pay the taxes on the earnings or the growth of that annuity in the future, but not immediate. Okay, next is the fact that it has what we call a low growth potential. Now, as you know, just like we discussed, if it works like a CD, which means that CDs have pretty low interest rate. So then the potential for your money or the portfolio to grow very rapidly is relatively low. Is that right? There is a low growth potential with a fixed annuity. Now, next, on the other hand, is the fact that it is relatively safe. It's a relatively safe type of vehicle, by which you mean your money is pretty much close to liquid with the bank. The interest is, slow, just like a CD is as we know it, but this time it's with an insurance company. However, you have less risk, is that right? It's relatively safe. You are more or less guaranteed to have the money with the potential interest on it by the time the annuity contract is over. So that is the flip side of the fact that it has a low growth potential, but however, it's relatively safe. The last element we want to touch here on the fixed annuity is the fact that there is a penalty for early withdrawal. What does this mean? Penalty for early withdrawal. What that simply means is that if you decide to take out your money from an annuity contract, you know, based on the IRS rules, which is currently about when you have less than 59 and a half, it's likely potentially that you may be slapped with, say, a 10% penalty for making an early withdrawal of your money. So that constitutes some of the key elements of what we call a fixed annuity. Okay, so let me recap quickly the features here of a fixed annuity. It has a fixed interest rate. It works like a certificate of deposit, as you know it's in the bank. It grows tax deferred. It has a low growth potential, and it's relatively safe. And the fact that there is a potential for a penalty for early withdrawal. So these are the main elements for the fixed annuity. Now let's try to jump to the next element of the annuity. Again, we talked about the fact that there are three types of annuities, all right? We have, again, the fixed annuity, the variable annuity, and also now the index. So we want to move on to the variable annuity. So if we take a variable annuity, here are the key elements that you want to take note of. Number one, as the name suggests, it has a variable interest rate. So unlike the fixed annuity, which we know as we just described, is quote unquote like the CD will act, the interest rate is fixed. When you talk about variable annuity, the interest rate that is credited is variable. In other words, it's not fixed, it's not constant. It can change one way or the other depending on how the markets work. Because with a variable annuity, you have a situation whereby the money is literally in the market, okay, directly in securities. So now that takes us to the next element of what a variable annuity is. First, it has a variable interest rate, okay, and the second element is that it has what we call subaccounts, which is mostly acts like a mutual fund. Now, we are not discussing mutual funds today. A mutual fund simply means a group of stocks put together. Okay, so in a variable annuity, you have the ability to choose certain a number of, I would say, accounts, or we call it sub-accounts, which acts like a mutual fund, under which the account is operates from. Now, again, one of the key elements here is that most people were interested in having the potential of the markets. That's the reason why this particular product was introduced, whereby people are able to take advantage of the market strength when there is. Okay, so the next element here is again what we call the fact that it also grows tax deferred. Okay, so we've discussed that, okay, variable annuity has a variable interest rate. It has sub accounts like, say, a mutual fund would, and also it grows tax deferred. Now, again, the word or the phrase tax deferred simply means that you will pay the taxes in the future, not today. You will be able to pay taxes, but it's going to be in the future, not in the immediate. So there is the variable interest rate, there is a sub accounts, mostly in the mutual funds, and also the growth is tax deferred. The next element of the variable annuity is the fact that it has high growth potential. High growth potential. As you can tell, the money this time is in the markets, and therefore it has higher potential for growth. Now, I'll jump right away to the next element. Because of the potential for growth being high, it is relatively high in terms of risk. It has relatively high risk. So a lot of times this is a kind of a product that is not your, I would say, baby investment product. If you're just beginning your journey in investing or trying to, build wealth, this is not the kind of product you want to get into right away. Especially don't want to do it all by yourself. You must have somebody that is security licensed to deal with this kind of product. So we have the fact that we have a variable interest rate on this. It has sub accounts like mutual fund. It grows tax deferred and a high growth potential, but also it has relatively high risk. Then the last element on the variable annuity is the fact that there is also penalty for early withdrawal. Penalty for early withdrawal. Again, that simply means that if you decide to take your money from a variable annuity, you may be slapped with a withdrawal penalty, especially before 59 and a half, potentially years old, you may be slapped with some kind of penalty for early withdrawal. So that those ones constitute the various elements of a variable annuity. So let's go to the third, I would say, type of annuity. Let me recap. We've said there are three types of annuities. There's a fixed annuity, there's a variable annuity, and there's what we call index annuity. So we just discussed the fixed, we discussed the variable. Now let's discuss the element of what we call index annuity. Okay, today we are talking about types of annuity under this main subject, understanding annuities. So what is an index annuity? Okay, an index annuity is in a way like in between the fixed and variable. Okay, it's like a combo of the two, so to speak. Now the first element is that the interest that is earned or credited to an index annuity is linked to index like the S&P 500. Now, someone may say, what's S&P 500? S&P 500 simply means, one of the indexes on the stock market that tracks the top 500 companies in America. Okay, so the interest rate that is credited on an index annuity is based off on the performance of the S&P 500. Now, you must understand that money is not usually invested in the market itself, but rather the S&P becomes like a benchmark. Okay, it's like a benchmark. The insurance company will use the S&P 500 like a benchmark to determine what kind of interest will be credited to an indexed-based annuity. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to learn, that the index annuity, the interest, unlike the fixed, which is determined by the insurance company, give a specific interest rate, or the variable annuity whereby the interest rate is usually based on the markets, it's linked directly to the markets. This time when we talk about you know, an index annuity, we are talking about a scenario whereby your interest is not necessarily based on investing in the market directly, but the S&P 500 is a benchmark based on which you get the interest credit. Okay, the next element or characteristics here of the index annuity is the fact that it has what we call an upside potential and downside protection. Now, let me explain a little bit. When you say the index has an upside potential, it means that you are allowed or you have the potential of earning or participating on the good times or the good years of the market. Okay, that's what that simply means. Now, your money is not directly invested or vested in the market. However, using the S&P as a parameter, as a benchmark for the crediting of the interest, there is a potential. You have the upside potential of gaining when the markets are good. And then the downside protection simply means that when the markets don't do so well, okay, now these days, this last, I would say, a few months to almost a year or two, the markets has been rallying pretty well. There's quite a good rally. However, in the years the market don't do very well, the downside protection of this index annuity allows you to have what we call a zero floor. You do not lose at all any of your money when you have that kind of investment vehicle. So that is what we call the upside potential and the downside protection. Again, we are discussing very briefly here some of the key features of the index annuity. The third element is also the same as a couple of others. The growth is tax deferred. Okay. However you grow, however your portfolio grows, you are not taxed immediately. You will be taxed in the future. Okay. All right. The next is that there's high growth potential. Potential growth, again, based on the fact that the money is not directly in the market, but linked to the S&P 500 and its performance. Okay, we have a couple of other key elements here. It is relatively safe. Okay, we have a much more relatively safe vehicle. Unlike the variable, which is highly risky, it's much more safe, especially because of the downside protection from losses that is put in place, and that's a very good thing to look at. All right. Now it also has a penalty for early withdrawal, just like all the others. So these are, in a nutshell, some of the characteristics. Now you can see clearly the main feature here is the fact that it's linked to the index like an S&P 500 and has a upside potential and downside protection and the potential growth as well. So that gives us an overview of the three main aspects or three types of annuities, be it a fixed annuity or a variable annuity or an index annuity. Again, simply, stated, an annuity is just a contract. Okay, it's a contract between you and an insurance company promising to pay you some amount of money because you either gave them a lump sum of money to invest on your behalf or you paid some amount of money over time to the company. All right, so that gives us a quick overview. I want to just give us a summary by doing a quick comparison of all these three so we can have side-to-side comparison just for visuals, for some of us that are a bit visual. So if you take a look at it very clearly, we have the three types of annuity: the fixed, the variable, and the index. Okay, and that these are the bullet points of the several features of all three of them. Whether it's a fixed one, having the fixed interest rate, acting like a CD at the bank, tax deferred, penalty for early withdrawal, low potential growth, relatively safe, but also avoids probate. Probate is simply, when somebody passes away and they need to distribute their assets if they don't have any specific will or trust in place that takes care of that. So if you compare it to the variable annuity, we're talking about the variable rate of interest, mutual potential accounts, sub-accounts like mutual fund, tax deferred growth, penalty for early withdrawal, high growth potential, very risky. Again, I want to stress that it's a very risky investment vehicle, so you want to be very, very careful when you're trying to work with a professional to design a portfolio for you and avoid probates. And lastly, index annuity products, which is linked to the index, like an S&P 500, grows tax deferred, has penalty for early withdrawal, high potential, relatively safe, and also avoids probate. So that should give us a very solid, summary and solid overview of the various types of annuities that we have. Again, these are the three main types of annuities, and depending on where you may be at in your own journey of financial breakthrough, we have the ability to chat with you. If you call us 720-588-9717, or go online to licenconsultant.com/financial planning. You may be able to contact us. We can set up a time and help you set up a portfolio to help you with your long-term financial planning for retirement, for college savings, for business planning, whatever the goal is that you desire to accomplish. So that has been our subject for today, talking about understanding annuities, types of annuities. I trust you've gained some knowledge and insight that you can apply. The content we share here are for educational purposes. We always let you know that before you take any action on any of these concepts, we recommend that you sit down with a financial professional, CPA, some professional or a legal counsel that will help you to navigate all of these options based on your particular need. And we are ready to help. And all the time, we look for opportunity to come and share this content with community leaders, with associations, churches, and those of us who may not have opportunity to learn these things on a formal basis. We believe that that is the kind of knowledge we need to help our community be strong, knowledgeable, insightful, so we can build strong communities financially and help build a great future for our families, ourselves, and our community. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll be back very soon with another edition. This has been Emmanuel Lyson, your host of Financial Breakthrough Academy. Take care.